Hi! For this video, we're going to learn about sequential reactions and how we determine intermediate compounds and catalysts in those sequential reactions. When we talk about sequential chemical reactions, these are chemical reactions that occur in multiple steps before coming up with the final products. In other words, you have to undergo a lot of steps, more than one intermediate chemical reactions before finally obtaining the products that you want to get. So let's define two major compounds here. We define intermediate compounds and catalyst compounds. In the previous video, we've learned about catalyst. Now we have to learn about intermediate compounds. These are compounds that are temporarily formed during the chemical reaction. Because it's temporary, that means during the duration of other reactions, they're gonna get reacted and they will not be seen in the final products anymore. Catalysts, on the other hand, you know that they speed up, they make the chemical reaction possible by providing a shorter activation energy so as the reaction will occur faster. And these catalysts will alter the pathway in the reaction, but they will not be used up in the chemical reaction. So take note, catalysts are not used up. So that means you retrieve them after the chemical reaction. On the other hand, intermediates are temporary compounds, just temporary, but in the end, intermediates do not form in the product side. Okay, so let's look at a certain example to further understand the difference between intermediate and catalyst compounds. So in this particular sequential reactions, you have three steps reactions. So if you notice, you have ClO negative plus water forming HOCl plus OH negative. In the second step, the Br negative the bromine negative will react with your HOCl on the first step, forming HOBr plus Cl negative. In the third step, your OH negative from step 1 will react with your HOBr from step 2, and that will form your water and BRO negative. So you've noticed that your reactants or substances are repeated. Some substances are repeated, and if they're repeated and they're found on the opposite sides of the arrow, if one is on the left and the same compound is found on the right, then you can cancel them. The compounds are being canceled already here, but they have different color codes. If you see the ones that are crossed out using the black line, these are actually your intermediates. These are the compounds that are temporarily formed in the series of chemical reaction, but you don't see them in the initial reactants nor in the final products. They're just tentative compounds in the series of reactions. On the other hand, you see water being crushed out with a red line. Water being the one instrumental for the reaction to proceed. But in the end, its form once again is considered the catalyst. So the catalyst here must be the same compound that triggered the onset or the occurrence of your chemical reaction, and on the end you see the same compound but on the right side, so that means you can cancel them out. So that's a catalyst. Catalysts never participate in the chemical reaction, but they are retrieved, but again they do not participate and they do not get consumed. That's why you retrieve them in the end of your chemical reaction. So that's it for this particular example. Let's have our last example. You have this series of chemical reactions when your ozone molecules are destroyed because of your chlorofluorocarbons, your CFCs. When CFCs get disintegrated by the presence of heat or light from the sun, chlorine, a very reactive chlorine, will be generated. That chlorine will start the domino reactions that will first trigger or react with O3. O3 is the ozone. So Cl from CFCs will target O3, and when it targets O3, you see that the products are oxygen gas and your ClO, which your chlorine will bond with one O and the other two O's will become your diatomic oxygen. This occurs very fast. And what happens after that? Your ClO will again bond with other oxygen molecules, and then it's gonna form your Cl2O2. And your Cl2O2, with the presence of light again, will trigger the formation of another monoatomic chlorines and another oxygen diatomic molecule. But this chlorine here will trigger another reaction that's catalytic, meaning it's very fast, and it's gonna be fast in destroying your ozone because this Cl will go back again to step one and will trigger the destruction of your O3, forming these compounds. So if you're looking at this reaction and looking at what you can cancel, you see that your ClO gets canceled, your Cl2O2 gets canceled as well. So in this case, your ClO and your Cl2O2 will be considered the intermediate products because these are products that were temporarily formed. On the other hand, you see that chlorine, and the chlorine here is being retrieved at the end and it starts the reaction. Chlorine is considered as the catalyst because without chlorine, this reaction will not happen. But this chlorine, this same chlorine, will still be generated at the end of this series of reactions. So it's considered your catalyst. So I hope that it's clear now what are your catalysts and your intermediates in the reaction. So going back as a wrap up, your ClO and your Cl2O2 are temporary tentative compounds which we call intermediates, and they're necessary in the progress of your chemical reaction. On the other hand, your chlorine and your chlorine here are the triggers of your chemical reaction, but they are still retrieved, they're still there during the chemical reaction. Therefore, they're considered to be the catalyst of the reaction. So that's it. That's how you'll identify what are your intermediates and what are your catalysts in the reaction. So please go over this video, take notes, and apply this learning to your classroom activities with your teacher around. So this has been Madam Narca saying don't stop learning, relearning and unlearning. Till next time, please subscribe and follow Narcademy in YouTube and in Instagram. Bye.